One of the most shocking royal secrets inside of Britain is that many of the kings and queens who ruled in the centuries before have had their coffins and burial vaults broken into and opened. When this happens, incredible and shocking things are found. Inside of Westminster Abbey, the tomb of medieval King Edward I was opened, and it was discovered that 500 years after his death, his remains were remarkably well preserved. But one tomb, which has allegedly never been opened, related to the burial site of Edward III and his wife Philippa of Hainault. The tomb is large and huge, but the tomb is one which is rare inside of the abbey, as it is one of the only ones which has never been opened. But why has this taken place? Was it because of a worry about what would happen if the seal of the tomb was opened? To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Philippa was born around 1310 to 1315 in the country of Hainault, now in modern-day Belgium. The daughter of Count William I of Hainault and Joan of Valois, herself a niece of Philip IV of France. Through her mother, Philippa had strong Capitan blood, a connection that would become diplomatically valuable during the early phases of the 100 Years' War. The union between Philippa and Edward III was not the result of romantic love, but of political necessity. Her future mother-in-law, Queen Isabella of France, arranged the match during her campaign to depose her husband, Edward II. Isabella and her ally, Roger Mortimer, needed military aid from the Low Countries, and a marriage alliance with Hainault secured crucial support. Philippa was betrothed to Edward in 1326, and they were married in January of 1328, shortly before Edward III's official coronation in the February. She was around 13 to 15 years of age at the time, and Edward was 15. Despite the politically motivated origins of their union, the marriage evolved into a genuine partnership marked by mutual respect and deep affection. Philippa's early years as queen were overshadowed by the dominant presence of Isabella and Mortimer, who effectively ruled England in Edward's name, but in 1330, Edward III staged a coup against his mother and her lover, asserting his personal rule and executing Mortimer. Isabella was sidelined to a comfortable retirement. Through this upheaval, Philippa remained quietly loyal, never engaging in court intrigue. Her discretion and diplomacy were key to preserving the royal household's integrity. Philippa's popularity with the English people was immediate and enduring. Chroniclers like Jean Froissart, who served at her court, depicted her as the gentle, charitable and devout, the ideal medieval queen. She donated to religious houses, patronised artists and protected scholars. Her interest in education led to her support Queen's College, Oxford, which was named in her honour. Philippa's most enduring legacy lies in her role as matriarch of the English royal house. Over the course of 2 decades, she bore 13 children, including 5 sons who survived to adulthood. Her offspring would shape the future of England and France. Edward, the Black Prince, her eldest son, became a legendary military commander. John of Gaunt, Duke of Lancaster, would found the House of Lancaster, central to the Wars of the Roses. Edmund of Langley, Duke of York, founded the House of York. Thomas of Woodstock, her youngest, played an important role in late 14th century politics. Her fertility and political acumen ensured the continuity of the Plantagenet line and created a dynasty with far-reaching consequences. Through her daughters, she connected the English crown to the nobility of Flanders, Castile, and beyond. Philippa was not a queen confined to the royal chambers. In an age where queens often stayed behind, she accompanied Edward on several military campaigns, including into Scotland and France. In 1346, while Edward was waging war on the continent during the 100 Years' War, Philippa found herself in command of the kingdom when David II of Scotland invaded northern England. At the Battle of Neville's Cross near Durham, the English army defeated the Scots, and Philippa personally oversaw the victory celebrations. More than a symbolic figurehead, she was involved in logistics, morale, and diplomacy. Her presence reassured the people and lent legitimacy to the regency during Edward's absence. Perhaps the most famous anecdote involving Philippa occurred during the siege of Calais in 1347. After the town surrendered to Edward following a brutal blockade, the king demanded the execution of 6 of the town's leading citizens as a display of vengeance. The men, known as the Burers of Calais, offered themselves in sackcloth and nooses. Moved by their plight, Philippa knelt before Edward and begged for their lives, arguing that such an act of mercy would benefit a Christian king and would be a good omen, as she was heavily pregnant at the time. Edward relented and spared the men. Froissart describes the moment as a testament to Philippa's compassion and moral authority. It became one of the defining legends of her queenship and an enduring symbol of female indecision in medieval politics. As queen, Philippa maintained a lively and cultured court. Her household was a hub of European chivalric culture, with poets, musicians and scholars regularly present. Froissart himself dedicated his chronicles to her and painted a romanticised picture of English court life under her reign. She also served as a diplomatic link between England and the Low Countries. Her upbringing in Hainault meant that she was multilingual, fluent in French, Dutch and likely Latin. She used her background to promote trade, diplomacy and alliances with continental powers, especially during the early stages of the 100 Years' War, when English support on the continent was crucial. The mid-14th century was marked by tragedy in the form of the Black Death, which reached England in 1348. Philippa, known for her generosity, played a role in organising aid and spiritual support for the affected communities. The royal family was not immune to the devastation. Several members of her household died in the epidemic, including some of her children. Despite the suffering around her, Philippa continued to fulfil her duties, although she began to suffer from increasingly poor health in the 1350s. The Queen withdrew from public life in her final years, but retained a close bond with Edward, who remained devoted to her. Philippa of Hainault died on the 15th of August 1369 at Windsor Castle, likely from edema or dropsy. Edward was heartbroken, and according to Froissart, the king was at her bedside, kissed her hand, and wept uncontrollably. She was buried with honour at Westminster Abbey, where her tomb, featuring an alabaster effigy, still stands. She is buried alongside her husband, the former English king, and on the tomb states, "Here is the glory of the English, the paragon of past kings, the model of future kings, a merciful king, the peace of the peoples, Edward III, fulfilling the jubilee of his reign, the unconquered leopard, powerful in war like a Maccabi. While he lived prosperously, his realm lived again in honesty. He ruled mighty in arms. Now in heaven, let him be a king." The tomb is richly decorated but has been desecrated. A number of the bronze children's statues that are on it have been taken. But the tomb is remarkable, as it shows Edward with his long hair and beard, but also Philippa in her robes. Her effigy is lying on a pillow too. Now it is believed that within the tomb of Edward III and Philippa are the corpses of the king and queen. These are held inside of the tomb and not inside of a vault underneath. But this tomb has never been opened, meaning the remains have never been disturbed. There has never been a need to open the coffin and confirm what was found inside. What this means is that the remains of Philippa and Edward may be still in their embalmed state, and that there is a possibility they may be as fresh as the day they were buried. This means that medieval monarchs could look incredibly human, and no decay may have set in. The remains would have been embalmed, with the heart and vital organs removed, and this was to make sure the body had the best chance of being preserved. So, is this the case for Philippa? Possibly. Thank you for watching, and to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. And again, thank you so much for watching.